This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites, a no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better media host or looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month free. And with that said, enjoy the show.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Humberto Carrillo, and you're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open podcast, but if this is your first time joining the show, I'd like to welcome you to episode number 229. My name is Nick Howell.
And sending love and sympathies to the Big Red Machine Kane on this day when he lost his mother and adopted family in a horrible fire. I am Sir Ian Dangerous. May 19th, Nick, May 19th. It's a dark day in the Kane family household, but yes, we are here, Nick, to talk about happier things. We're here to talk about the wrestling, the graps. We're here to talk about Monday Night Raw, which was actually a pretty entertaining 3 hours this week. I got to say, they're making me watch for 3 hours. All right. Like, we got to talk about that. There's some news to get to, Nick, but let's do some housekeeping before we can get into the show.
Yes, absolutely, guys. Come over and join us in Facebook. Search for Busted Wide Open. Like our page and send us a join request to get right in. Find our links to our Discord in the description down below here on YouTube or pinned across our social media profiles. That is the place to be. It's where the community huddles around all of the shows and has live chats all throughout the week. So make sure you get into the Discord. It is the place to be. You can also follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast. We stream live right here on YouTube at youtube.com/bustedwideopen every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. That's youtube.com/bustedwideopen. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and jingle the little notification bell so you get notified anytime we put up new content or go live right here on our channel. We've got some new stuff coming soon. Those of you in the Facebook group saw a little tease, a little carrot dangled in front of your faces last night, if you happen to be in the group. Last but certainly not least, a big thank you to all of our patrons, our phenomenal ones. Thank you guys for all of your support every single month, month after month. And if you guys would like to get in on some of those exclusive rewards, head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of those awesome reward tiers to get access to show notes, bonus episodes, Skype calls, producer segments, all kinds of good stuff at patreon.com/BWO. Ian, I think you said it right. There's a lot of stuff to get into, and I want to save all of my opinions and commentary for Monday Night Raw.
Let's start off with the relatively simple stuff because they did a good job of weaving some storylines in this week where it kept you engaged through multiple different segments. But we also had the fairly straightforward main event. Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre, or at least it would seem that it was straightforward on the surface. Baron Corbin showing up and wreaking havoc and being a diva and asking for his own dressing room and asking why he had to walk so far for catering and where and Corbin and saying that Drew McIntyre learned everything from him and doing everything that a top heel should do. And Drew McIntyre, and in reverse, rolling his eyes and being like, oh my God, I'm going to kick his damn head off. And then we get to the actual match, and it's actually, Nick, before we get to the other stuff that was going on with this, I got to throw this out here right now. That match over-delivered as hell.
Yes.
That's one of Baron Corbin's best matches.
And to go back to what you were saying before, if there's anything better than a dick heel in a suit, it's a dick heel in a crown and cape. Corbin, this might be peak Corbin. We might be witnessing, so far, we might be witnessing peak Corbin. I'm real, like, you and I both unilaterally loved Constable Corbin.
Yes.
I'm liking this new really dick heel Corbin in a crown even better than Constable Corbin.
I think I might have laterally loved him. I appreciated him, but I didn't think he was always utilized to his best. And the same thing with King Corbin. Sometimes he's used really well. Sometimes he's obnoxious and dull. And I think a lot of people have the impression that Corbin himself is obnoxious and dull. He's actually a very, very clean, very crisp worker. If you watch his matches, they're not always exciting because he's almost too clean. He does go to the well a lot on certain moves and on certain sequences. But if you look at a match like this, he did everything that was required of him.
Yep.
And you can tell that he and Drew had great chemistry, and Drew got a great match out of him and vice versa. And there were some exciting moments. There were some surprising spots. Drew did the countdown for the Claymore, and Corbin countered it into a deep 6. I didn't see that coming. I thought it was over. There was a couple of great spots in this match, and I got to say, Corbin held up his own. So anyone out there who's a Corbin detractor, go and watch this match, because this is why the guy gets the opportunities that he does, why he was the first superstar to be picked to go across brand and do a match like this. That being said, do you think that this match had any deeper meaning beyond just establishing Drew as being a top babyface, having him go against one of their tried and true top heels, and just and getting over him pretty clean, kicking out at one on some massive moves like a top rope superplex? Do you think this was just a way to make Drew look like a better guy?
No.
Or what? Then why do you think they did this?
I think this might be set up to send Baron back to be the foil that we never expected or saw coming for Braun Strowman on SmackDown.
Huh.
We've been speculating about whether it was going to be who was going to be next. Is it going to be Jinder? Is it going to be Lashley? Who's going to be next for Braun Strowman? Or is it going to be The Fiend again? Are they just going to restrap The Fiend all over again? And we don't know. And what I'm tinfoil hat again, guys. Nick Booking, tinfoil hat. What I'm reading into this is that Corbin needed some shine that Elias couldn't give him. So let's send him up to Raw and get a 4+ star match out of him and Drew McIntyre, and then we'll ship him back with all that shine to go challenge Braun Strowman for the Blue Universal Championship.
You had a hot take with your Corbin and Braun having a feud, which gives me the willies and shrinks my plums, but I'm going to give mine back and say that Corbin is actually a much more dynamic, exciting worker than Elias is. And I think that's actually, and I like Elias. I like when he's a heel, and I think his gimmick can be really fun, but I don't think he's going to go to the ring and give you an all-time classic. Not saying that Corbin necessarily is, it's just more likely. So Corbin and Elias in the same feud was just death to me.
Yep.
Whereas I think Corbin can go and have good feuds with people. I don't know if Braun Strowman is that guy, but not out of the realm of possibility. I just don't know if you want to have someone who's got the reputation of Corbin amongst the fans of like, oh God, roll eyes, with Braun right now. I think you should have someone a little bit more dynamic with Braun, someone who's got a little bit more pep. But obviously Vince sees a lot in Corbin. He really relies on him a lot. So yeah, that could very well may happen. But let's talk about the secondary story going on with this main event. And that was that also on this Monday Night Raw, Bobby Lashley had another match with R-Truth and beat him up fairly cleanly again. But MVP, before and after the match, started talking to Bobby Lashley and saying, man, why are you fighting dudes like R-Truth? You should be challenging for the championship. And remember last week, Nick, we speculated Bobby Lashley would be a great guy to go after Drew. They had a great feud in TNA. They looked the part, they looked like they would be great opponents. This seems to make sense. Well, it came true this week. After that match, MVP had another talk with Lashley, and by the end of the show, MVP and Lashley came out together at the top of the ramp before Drew and Corbin's match. Talked some smack, and Lashley said, hey, Drew, just so you know, after you're getting beat up tonight, I'm going to scout you while you're getting beat up, and then I'm going to come for that title and kick your ass. And it's now official, by the way, Nick, now that we've had a day removed from Raw, it's official. We are having a Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley match at Backlash. What do you think about how they built that Drew McIntyre and Lashley match? Kind of quickly, but they were setting it up with Lashley for a while.
Yeah, and I'm not so... I think he should have had... he's been killing little guys for a few weeks now. And I don't know if I would have sent him right after the WWE Championship, because I'm not ready to take it off of Drew yet without some immaculate story. We spent about 4+ months, 5 months. I think it all started in December when Drew came out talking shit to Randy Orton, which was essentially his face turn. And we spent 5 to 6 months leading up to WrestleMania to get him strapped in the first place. And you're telling me now within 2 months you're potentially going to take it right back off of him to push somebody who had a failed marriage angle, betrayal angle kind of thing in the first part of the like? No, that's not realistic.
I don't think they're realistic. They're not going to take it off of Drew. I don't think it's realistic to do. But you got to give him an opponent who looks like a real deal, who looks like an actual challenge.
But I feel like Lashley's the final boss. I don't feel like he should be the first one to go. Like we had Seth. Seth gave him a kind of a chicken shit heel thing, trying to get around him. Fine, we got one of those. Jinder is in the wings. Like something else.
Seth gave him a straight up match. Seth didn't even bring in the chair in his match. I think Seth gave him a straight up match, and he beat Seth straight up, and that messed up Seth last week. We'll get to Seth in a second because that's a whole
show on itself.
That's a whole show. But
I don't know if Lashley's going to be the next one.
He literally is, Nick.
Match, yes, but I mean, there's no way he's taking it off of Drew.
No, and I don't think that's their intention. I don't think that he should. I think that right now Drew is kind of he's the new top guy. Yeah. You know, Brock is gone. We don't know when we're going to see Brock again, and I don't think that you always should have a Brock, but Drew is now being portrayed in the mold of the guys past, unbeatable John Cena, unbeatable Hulk Hogan. You know, that's kind of where Drew's at right now. He's kicking out on one of major moves. He's being friendly to interviewers in the back and charming, and he's doing everything but suffering succotash that Roman couldn't pull off. He's doing a lot of stuff right now that Roman couldn't pull off, that Vince wants in his top guys, that kind of easy breezy, shoot the shit kind of verbiage backstage. Yeah. So they're positioning him as being that guy. And if his first big major feud post Seth, which was a very small one, is Lashley, where they haven't really built Lashley up to be a world ender right now. They've built him up to be very strong, but the dude's beaten R-Truth. Like, Lashley could go into this feud and come out okay because he wasn't 100% again, right? Like, Lana's going to cost him this.
Sure.
So they could actually have this run for a while where Lashley keeps getting stronger and stronger. And, you know, in Dragon Ball terms, his power level keeps going up because he keeps, you know, rising to new levels, goes away and trains and drops some dead baggage like Lana and then comes back even stronger like Vegeta. You know, they could absolutely do that with Lashley with this feud. And that would be really interesting that he keeps coming back and getting stronger and stronger. And Drew's like, oh, damn, I actually back in my heels in this match. That sort of thing. But Drew's not dropping the championship to him. No.
The thing that I wanted to complain about was that I feel yes, we have been building Lashley up. We've felt this progression. By the way, $10 super chat from Chris in the chat. If Drew loses, we riot. I agree. Thank you, Chris. 100%.
Not wrong.
And for some reason, the alerts appear to be not working on the stream. Fantastic. Anyway, Lashley says, sorry, we've been building Lashley up for the last few weeks, crushing jobbers, beating up R-Truth, all that stuff. And I guess the thing that I wanted to say was I don't want Lashley to go after Drew yet because there's no way he's going to win. I want Lashley to be built up to be an unstoppable monster where down the road he can just show up, walk in, and it be believable that he could, on any given Sunday, take that title off of Drew. Right now, I don't believe that.
Well, and one of the things
I don't want to do that to Lashley to completely eliminate all of the work they've done to try and rehab him over the last few weeks after the terrible Lana Rusev shit.
Well, in TNA, one of the things that they did was point out Lashley's MMA background, and he was, you know, being built up as being a guy who knew more MMA than Drew Galloway at the time. And that's something they haven't even touched on yet. It's just he's big and jack and angry, and he can make you tap out in a full Nelson like he did with R-Truth. So yeah, I don't know. I'm curious how they're gonna build this forward. MVP as his advocate, as his new Leo Rush, as his mouthpiece is, I think, inspired. MVP
agreed.
is doing some great work, and I think that the storytelling that MVP is doing here with his speeches and with his talking to Lashley is superlative. It's fantastic. It's
awesome.
just what this needed. I was a little bit weirded out by Lana just kind of screaming at the end of it, like when MVP comes out with Lashley and he's kind of like, they're like buddy, and she's just in the back throwing stuff and going,
exactly.
I don't know if
like Animal from the Muppets playing drums.
Right. I don't know if they're trying to sabotage her career right now. Because remember when she was the most desirable woman in WWE, when she was the Ravishing Russian, she would come out and do the little like slow spin and speak in a Russian accent and basically be like just, crush like, just hold her hand up and just squeeze. And Rusev would go just break someone's leg. What a far cry we are from there. And I don't know if there's a way back from this for her. If there is, it's a long rehab.
No, I thought the Ravishing Russian Lana was the best thing we'd seen since Keebler messing with McMahon. It was on that level, right? And the fact that they've completely just undone that because Lana, for some reason, wants to have a wrestling career. I think that was the reason that they got rid of it originally. They talked about it on a Total Divas episode years ago.
Yeah,
she wanted to get in the ring.
Right.
And you threw that away. You had gold.
She was better than Eva Marie. Can we give her that?
Yes.
She was better than Eva Marie.
Yes.
Okay.
She took Natty to the limit.
So moving on, we'll talk about Natty later. Moving on, we've got the major thrust of this show, that there was a huge ongoing plot line that went through multiple segments. And it actually it's one of the things that kept the show together was that there was a lot of ongoing plot lines. You had Drew and Lashley and Corbin. And then you had a whole bunch of guys in the other one. We've got, let's see, in this we've got Seth Rollins and Murphy. We've got Kevin Owens returning. We have Apollo Crews. We have Zelina Vega and her Los Igobernables de WWE, which is Angel Garza, Andrade, and Austin Theory. And then, of course, you have Alistair Black also involved in this. All of these guys involved in about 5 different segments on this show, weaving through the show, changing alliances, returns, matches, setups for title shots. Fantastic. This is writing a wrestling show right here. For all the times that we're down on when they don't write a wrestling show to keep you engaged, this is how they keep you engaged. Things are always happening. There's new twists. There's payoffs to things that happen earlier. You're mentioning things that are happening later on the show. For example, we start off with Seth Rollins looking a little bit better than he did last week, looking not quite so perturbed as he did.
Right.
Little put together, his hair's back nicely in the man bun as it should be. Beard is coiffed again. He's got his nice Reservoir Dogs suit on. And he tells Murphy in the back, Murphy, I've had a revelation. And they go out to the ring, and Seth gives a nice sermon to us, Nick, where he says that he's realized that after last week where he tried to poke out Rey Mysterio's eye with a ring step, that, you know what? Without darkness, there can be no light.
Yes.
And that Rey Mysterio that was a cathartic sacrifice. It was good for Rey. It was good for Seth. And Seth has figured out what went wrong with the Drew match. It's okay. You can have a bad day, essentially, as long as you come back and hurt somebody else to make yourself feel better. Essentially is what he's saying.
Yeah.
So he said, Rey, wherever you are rehabbing, you're welcome. And that's how it started. Well, of course, that pissed off Humberto Carrillo, who I forgot to mention was also part of this whole thing. Humberto Carrillo comes out, gets in his face. Seth says, I'm sorry, I'm dressed like a Reservoir Dog. I'm Mr. Pink. I can't fight you. You got to fight my boy Murphy here, who's wearing his nice, stained glass outfit that he's got for me now. So Murphy and Carrillo have a match. Murphy beats Carrillo completely clean after a nice little match. Interesting. They make mention of the fact that Murphy's already got a match with Alistair later in the night, but he still goes to bat for his boy Seth and picks up this win over Carrillo, which he needed. Nick, he needed a win.
Yeah.
Murphy needed a win.
No, this is just the beginning of what we're about to, this roadmap of stuff that happened all throughout Raw, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. But I liked the dynamic of I'm in my suit, but he does have a match later.
Yeah.
But he's good enough, and I trust him enough that he can go ahead and whip your ass before he ever gets to Alistair Black later. So go get him, Murphy.
It's backfired on him before, but luckily here, I think it's set up some nice stuff. Murphy's capable. At least now we're showing that Murphy is capable. But that is setting stuff up. But to set that up, we have to go to the other side of this, which was Kevin Owens is back. And Kevin Owens has a nice, he starts to do his Kevin Owens show segment, which got disrupted. We'll talk about Natalya later. But it starts off with essentially an empty ring with the carpet. Zelina and her boys out there in the ring. All three of them. Austin Theory, Angel Garza, Andrade, all of them in the ring together. Cutting a promo on Kevin Owens saying, you're lame for being gone for so long. Why are you so lame? And Kevin Owens saying, I'm just hanging out outside the ring because there's someone else I'm interviewing as well. And that's Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews comes right down the ring, blindsides Andrade, kicks the crap out of him, just mounts him and starts beating the piss out of him. So we get an impromptu tag team match. Angel Garza and Austin Theory versus Kevin Owens and Apollo Crews.
Yep.
Very quick match. And because Austin Theory screws up the distraction, Apollo Crews gets a nice big pin on Angel Garza. After the match, there's a big rumble, and they kick Austin Theory out of the group. They beat him down, beat him up, throw him in some chairs by the side of the ring, and leave him. Zelina even saying, I don't know why I ever had faith in you. They've given up on Austin Theory, which comes around in the next match because the next match is Murphy versus Alistair. And I love the fact that they established these guys have history. They hate each other. Like they're ready to kill each other before the match even starts. Mwah! They don't do that enough in WWE, establishing long-term hatred feuds like this. So they're beating the crap out of each other. Alistair starts looking too good. And what does Seth do? He's on the side of the ring, and he reaches out that black gloved hand of his to Austin Theory, who's just waking up. And he pulls Austin Theory up, and they have a little moment where they kind of look at each other, and they have a realization, a recognition, if you will. And then Seth points to the ring, and Austin Theory goes, and he beats up Alistair Black, causes the DQ, but they all beat down Alistair. And then in the ring, Seth embraces Austin Theory, looks over at Murphy, who's looking pensive, but embraces Austin Theory. And Austin Theory is the newest member of Seth's acolytes. So there's a lot there. That's like an hour and 15 worth of this show summarized. That's a lot. That's return. And that's not even everything, because Apollo Crews in the meantime challenges Andrade for the U.S. title.
Well, hang on. While Seth Rollins embraces Austin Theory, they keep cutting the camera back to Murphy,
who at first looks like he's like, yeah, it's a good idea. And by the end, he's kind of biting his lip and going, yes.
Like, I don't trust this guy.
I caught that too. And online, Nick, he's already actually tweeted out, I'm always going to be number one.
Oh,
number two,
okay.
You know what I mean?
So what I'm scared of is that they're going to turn this into a bullshit jealousy angle when it really should be about Murphy protecting Seth. Seth is going to overstep him, trust Theory in something, and then LIW betrays them, and it was me all along, right? And we planted Theory in your group.
And like a recent one. I don't want this to be another Luke Harper, Randy Orton, and Bray Wyatt.
No. Please.
You know what I mean?
I do.
But let's take a step back, though, and say, okay, this was their idea. Pull Austin out of Zelina Vega's group, who we now no longer can call LIWWE. It's just Zelina Vega's guys. Austin now with Seth. On paper, that's a brilliant idea. Seth needed more dudes.
Yep.
And it's pretty clear that Austin's a made man. Like he's a prototype, and I don't mean that because he looks a little bit like a young John Cena. If he and Finn Balor had like a weird love baby
with Randy Orton.
I don't get the Randy Orton.
Okay.
I don't. A little bit, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
But the point is, if you want to put that guy to the top, you put him next to Seth Rollins. Like we said that it was a great position for Murphy to be in. He's going to be out on TV every week. He's going to be doing a lot of matches. Same goes for Theory. This is going to be a better place for him to shine than over there with Zelina's guys, who are kind of doing their own thing, and he kind of stuck out there a little bit. It worked. This works better. But does Zelina now need another guy in her group, or is it okay for her to go back to just two guys, managing two guys?
I'm wondering if Humberto's going to flip. I think it was smart to, if you're going to make it a Latino organization, it was smart to find a way to remove the gringo. You know what I mean? I felt like that was part of this play, even whether it was to set up him going into Seth's religion, whatever we want to call it, his cult denomination, his cult. Thank you. So at the same time, I'm not mad at all this, but I think it would be fine with just Garza and Andrade. I think it would.
Yeah. I wonder because so Apollo and Andrade, they've already announced that their U.S. title match, and Apollo had a great promo backstage where he promoted at Zelina, who came in to talk smack, and he said, I'm fired up. Yes, I have a bum leg, but I'm gonna take this off of him. But their title match, Nick, is next Raw. It's a week before their pay-per-view. They're having the title match not on the pay-per-view. What is your theory behind that, pardon the pun?
I don't have one. You saying it right now is the first I'm aware of it. But that's why I'm here. I know. I thought we did that. We have these matches before Money in the Bank, and it kind of took away from the matches, 2 of them.
Yeah.
The women's and the men's tags, the 4-way tags. So I was disappointed that they had those matches on the go-home shows instead of on the pay-per-view, and I feel like I'm going to feel the exact same way about this one. Yeah,
unless there's some sort of outcome they're going for where it's a DQ and then he gets a rematch on the pay-per-view. Like, otherwise, I'm curious why they're doing that. Do you think Andrade should drop that title to Apollo, either on Raw or on the pay-per-view?
Yes.
I'm with you on that because I
feel like he's had it long enough and it's mostly irrelevant right now.
Yes, I agree. And I think that Apollo getting it would be a huge step up for a guy who deserves it. Andrade will be fine. They need to give him something to do. And I feel like he's not having enough to do with that title on him besides having title versus title matches that he loses against Drew McIntyre.
Right.
So it might give him an opportunity to do something else. So yeah, I do think I think this is a good feud. It's a good idea. This is what a mid-card title should be, is to elevate mid-card guys who need elevating, like Apollo. So that all sounds good to me.
Yeah, I want to catch up on one thing real quick. Sorry, guys, the alerts were a little broken on the stream, but I think I got them fixed now. Line Drive. Kyle had a super chat earlier where he said, Lana, the result of when a committed actress is giving no direction and crap to work with.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can argue with that.
I can't.
That's pretty good, man.
That's a
good, simple breakdown.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
Thank you for the $5, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Amen. Thank you very much. So just a couple of things I just wanted to chew on before we got out of this whole huge segment. A couple of things. One, Nick, you and I were both loving Seth going crazy and possibly coming back a darker character. Do you feel that paid off, or was it just a road bump instead of an actual epiphany?
I don't know if by the end of the show I would agree with that, but for the first 30 minutes of the show, he comes out and he starts saying, he was descending into that thing, and I'm like, fuck, they listen. He's been listening to the Busted Wide Open. But by the time we got to the end of it, I'm like, this is the same old,
we're back
Monday Night Messiah.
We were.
We're back where we were 2 weeks ago before Money in the Bank.
Yeah, so leading out of that, one of the things that worried me, Kevin Owens is back with no perceptible feud and kind of a lackluster return, I felt. And doesn't really have a feud.
He didn't even get his show set because Natty tore shit up.
Yeah. And on the other side, which we'll talk about in a second, we'll talk about Natty and her tantrum. But on the other side of things, the other guy who was kind of the odd wheel out in this, Alistair Black, who was left laying after getting beaten up at the end of all of these segments. Now, he tweeted out a couple of images. He tweeted out one that said it comes in threes, and the other one was Backlash. So if Seth now has 2 acolytes, and Kevin Owens isn't doing anything, and Alistair hates one of those guys, you seeing where I'm going with this? Does that feel like a step backwards? Is one more time Kevin Owens and Seth's dudes? Or is there someone, I guess, Alistair going solo against these guys? Or is there someone else going to come? Is Ray going to come back? Or is 1-on-3 for Alistair? What do you feel like he's hinting at here? Or what's the outcome, do you feel, with this?
You said Apollo Crews a little bit ago for the U.S. title, but my original thought was Alistair Black for the U.S. title to go take it off of Andrade. And I feel like they could do that. I feel like he needs to step through the hoops, so to speak. He doesn't need to go back into tag team stuff. We had that. We've had a taste of that with him and Ricochet already. It was fine. It was what it was. It was mostly forgettable. But I think getting him straight to some other big championship would be a mistake instead of either the Intercontinental or the U.S. Championship, and I think he would be a perfect foil to go up against Andrade to get that. So that's where my head's at with Alistair. I don't know if he's going to go
They did
team
have
up
some
with
amazing
Kevin
matches.
Owens and go after a tag thing, and I don't.
There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of places they could go.
Yeah.
Kyle had an interesting one in the chat where he said Kevin Owens should win the title from Andrade after Cruz fails, and Cruz should turn heel. I don't know about Cruz heel. I think he's a good, right now, he's an angry babyface. He does that pretty well.
Yeah.
And it's working for him. So I think they probably should stick with the edgy face, which they're doing right now. But
he's a Gargano figure where he's good fighting up. I don't really want. He's chasing. Let Apollo chase. I don't know that.
You just said you wanted him as champ.
Well, no, I said I wanted Alistair, but I wouldn't be mad at him taking it off of Andrade. But I feel like he's the one. He's the classic Ledger Joker. I'm a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do if I actually ever caught one.
But the problem is with Apollo is that he needs to legitimize himself, and that title reign would legitimize him somewhat after a long time of just kind of bouncing around, not really settling on anything or doing anything. He's got to catch a car, and then we can watch him chase other cars because we know he can catch a car.
Yeah. All right.
To stick with your metaphor.
I wouldn't be mad at it. I just don't think it's going to be a game changer for him, like you are alluding to.
I'm hoping for.
Skeptically optimistic.
Skeptically optimistic. Well, speaking of chasing cars and catching them, someone caught the biggest car of all, and that's Asuka, who got the Raw Women's Championship from Becky Lynch last week, given to her because Becky had, of course, to step away for maternity leave. And this week we had a celebration for Asuka. Kairi Sane very nicely introducing Asuka, who came out full regalia with the championship, and Kairi gave her some flowers and then pointed out, Asuka, you've been NXT champ, SmackDown champ, Women's Tag champ, and Raw champ. You are now a Grand Slam champion. And then they started dancing around and being happy, and Kairi started playing the recorder in kind of the same way we all played the recorder when we were in third grade, where it just sounds like absolute crap.
Three blind mice. Yeah.
Except hers was like cool color of blue. But then who should come out to interrupt this lovely moment, Nick? But your girl, the love of your life, Nick, Nia Jax comes out.
Dude,
to
Tony,
get
Tony
in
might
everybody's
be listening.
face.
Don't say stuff like that, okay?
If Tony
Sorry,
is
Tony, he didn't mean it.
If Tony doesn't know, Nick, then it wasn't meant to be between you two.
Listen,
if she doesn't understand,
we've been
by
down
now.
that road already. Okay, never mind. Let's not get sidetracked.
If she don't know you by now,
oh God,
yeah, she will never, ever, ever know you. Come on, Nick, give her some credit. Give Tony some credit. But Nia Jax, on the other hand, if not Nia Jax, on the other hand, the true love of your life, challenges Asuka, gets in the ring and says, Asuka, you don't deserve that. You were given it, whereas I deserve it because look at me and look at you. At which point Asuka just snaps and beats the absolute crap out of Nia, sending her flying out of the ring onto the sideline, which makes sense. Asuka would not like her because Nia almost killed Kairi Sane. And they've made that part of kayfabe now, which is, think whatever you will. But Nia gets beaten out of the ring, walking backwards up the ramp. Later on, she blindsides Kairi backstage while Kairi's trying to practice her recorder, beats her up, and Asuka is not happy about that either. Okay, so Nia Jax, first opponent for Asuka. I will preface this, Nick, before I ask you how you feel about this. I will preface this by saying that Nia was supposed to be the opponent for Becky at Money in the Bank. Do you feel like this is okay because they're essentially Becky was supposed to beat her? Do you feel this is okay because they're just basically plugging Asuka into the Becky spot here?
Yes.
Okay, so you're okay with Nia being Asuka's first major challenger?
Because she's not going to beat her.
You hope. I'm just saying.
Asuka was whooping that big girl's ass. I don't know what show y'all were watching. Yeah.
Which is the thing. And the more someone stands tall, the more I worry about them at the pay-per-view.
Asuka's not dropping that thing 2 weeks after getting in a monumental decision to put the Raw Women's Championship in the Money in the Bank briefcase. You're telling me that all of a sudden 2 weeks later they're going to flip it and put it on Nia Jax, who's been mostly irrelevant for more than a year. No.
She's been out with injury. She's back now and pretty relevant. So.
Oh, well, that makes all the difference in the world.
I'm just saying. I'm with you though. I'm with you. I think Nia should lose this, but look like a legitimate threat to Asuka. It feels like Asuka has gone face. I think she went face at the exact moment that she went mother to Becky.
Nani?
Well, she went where Becky went, I'm gonna go be a mother, and Asuka just went mother, and like, and they've been replaying that in the Becky clips where like Asuka is just so obviously happy for her.
Yeah.
And then with this too, like Nia was very much the heel and Asuka was very much the babyface. Awesome. Cool. Great. The question I have though, Nick, is what role does Kairi Sane play? Is she just going to be the victim that Nia beats up to piss off Asuka? Or is there a heel turn coming?
No.
No?
Wait, I mean, I don't know where Asuka and Kairi are in the whole heel face dynamic right now. I think Asuka is very much in that sort of tweener. She's transcended it at this point. I think if she's not going to mist anymore, she needs to stop doing the green face paint.
No, the green face paint is cool as hell.
I mean, it's kind of part of she didn't start doing that until she turned and started misting.
You can mist as a face.
Fine.
I'm just saying.
I want to call out Line Drive with the $10 super chat. Thank you very much again, sir. He says the Kabuki Warriors are a treasure.
They are.
If we are ever doing a turn, it needs to be a festival of friendship. Also, like Nia as Asuka's first challenger, especially if they play off their NXT history. That's not a bad point.
They won't. They'd almost never bring up NXT history, which is tragic unless it's like Asuka's streak. But they didn't bring up Asuka and Nikki Cross's history, which was a great history. I would love it if they did. They just never do. So that is tragic. But I agree. If they break up Kabuki Warriors, they've got to really like squeeze it out. I will have some serious man tears, like the single like straight face tear if they Festival of Friendship Asuka and Kairi.
Oh, speaking of which,
that's gonna be
listen. WWE, I'm gonna need you to cool it because I don't tune into Monday Night Raw to sob. So cool it with the Becky Lynch video packages, okay? Seriously.
Yeah, it's really well done. It's like too well done.
Like we're 5 minutes in.
I didn't know if they'd give a chance to a little Irish lass with an attitude, loves puns.
But they did.
You did. You put me on your shoulders. You carried me all the way there. Like, as you know, it's funny because a lot of people are starting to cool on Becky, yourself included, Nick. But now, like with the feelings we had with her going away, when she comes back, like she's going to be the hottest thing there is.
Oh God, the place is going to erupt. It's going to be Edge coming back in Toronto, and the roof's going to come off the place.
Anyone, and I definitely, had my pragmatic look at it as being like, is this the best time to go have a kid? Like just from a business standpoint, like, anyone who's questioning her on that. On the counterpoint to that, she's stepping away at the top. You leave at the top, you stay at the top in people's memories.
Yup.
This is not the equivalent of, but it's not dissimilar to dying at 27 as a rock star. You were forever young. You were forever at the top in people's minds. She leaves to go be a mom for 3 years. When she comes back, she's still going to be like the biggest damn thing. The man. Yeah. And she'll be back before that. She'll do like appearances and crap because they can't.
That's what I meant. It's Edge coming back in Toronto. It's surprising when the place blew up. And the first time you hear that guitar riff, that place is going to explode.
It won't. I don't think it'll be as many years, but it'll be like Triple H coming back at Madison Square Garden.
Exactly. Yes.
Speaking of Edge, Edge was back on the show. In fact, he opened the show with Randy Orton. We had basically the way that last Raw ended was the way this Raw started, which I don't entirely agree with, but at the same time, I couldn't think where else in the show to put this.
No.
But Randy Orton doubled down on his challenge to Edge from last week, saying, all right, you were the better man in a match with tables and chairs and all kinds of equipment and last man standing, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? You're not a better wrestler than me. So let's have a straight up wrestling match. And Edge comes out to say, au contraire, Randy. He basically said, you might be the best wrestler in the world, but here's the problem. you don't give a crap because everything for you that wrestling is a fallback option. You didn't really give a crap about this like I did. You didn't dream and wake up in the middle of the night dreaming of being a WWE superstar. You didn't save up money for months to be able to go to a WWE show when you were a kid. You didn't have to go away and see your dream ripped from you for 9 years and then have to scratch and claw to get back to that dream. You've had everything handed to you on a silver plate. So you think that I don't have grit and you think you can beat me in a wrestling match. And Randy just goes, dude, would you shut up and just tell me if you want to have this match or not? And Edge goes, yes, I want to have the match. God, Randy, you're so infuriating.
Before we go any further in this, I need to address something. We didn't open the show with Randy and Edge. We opened with Charlie Caruso standing in the middle of the ring, deadpan into the hard cam, once again saying that this could be the best wrestling match of all time.
The greatest wrestling match. And by the way, it's how they're promoting it online. They're promoting it as the greatest wrestling match ever. Guys, let's be clear here. Edge and Randy Orton are two of the most talented professional wrestlers in the world. They are two incredibly talented guys. The match they have will no doubt be probably a very good match.
Yes.
Will it be the greatest wrestling match ever?
No.
I've got 100% certainty that it will not be the greatest wrestling match ever. And to put that hyperbole on it is actually hurting the match.
Yes.
It's hurting the perception. It's hurting how people are looking at it. It's the kind of thing that just cuts your boys off at the legs to do that to them. And thank God, at least this week, Charlie said it could be considered as opposed to like, this is going to be the greatest wrestling. Like, oh my God.
Brian Duncan in the chat just said, unless they're wrestling in space, I don't know how they're pulling this off. That's got me tickled. That's good.
Right. Or in space or like at the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
Sure.
Or if there's a bear involved somehow. Like, yeah. There's no way. It's not like it will, at best, it will be an excellent wrestling match. You could even have match of the year and it still wouldn't be the greatest wrestling match ever by a long, long shot. Yeah. And this was particularly bizarre, Nick, because for years, WWE has pushed back on this whole wrestling thing and wanted to call it sports entertainment. And I consider both of these guys way better sports entertainers than actual technical wrestlers.
Agreed.
They're both exquisitely good technical wrestlers, but they're where they are because they're sports entertainers. So, yeah, this is...
It's that Jonah Hill meme where you're just going, no, dude, cut it out. Chris with the super chat says, did they forget about Dragon Savage or Taker Sean? Exactly.
Or just to start.
I mean, those are Okada, 2 of the 10 or 20 that you can put in front of whatever the hell Randy Orton and Edge are going to give us in 2020.
This is not going to be better than the top 10 matches of the last 3 years.
Right.
Like you take the top 30 matches from the total from the last 10 matches a year from the last 3 years. This isn't going to be better than those 30 matches.
Right.
I know because I've watched them all.
Yes.
There's no way this is beating Walter versus Tyler Bate. This is not going to beat Ospreay versus Takagi. It's not. No. It's just not possible under WWE standards with the kind of matches that they have and with the talent these two guys have. It's not going to happen. And it's a disservice to the match these guys are going to have, which is going to be a very good match. It's a disservice to put that in people's minds that it could be. And again, wrestling. What are these guys going to go out there and put on a Matt Classic in a company where you have Matt Riddle, Kyle O'Reilly, Walter? Are you kidding me? You just fired Drew Gulak, and these guys are going to go out there and have a better wrestling match than him versus Daniel Bryan last week?
No.
Come on.
No.
It's my face is so far in my palms. I'm tasting sweat. It's oh my goodness. So, and this isn't even my favorite angle on Raw right now. This is Randy Orton and Edge. I should be as hot for this as I was before WrestleMania. I was loving the angle then. That was hot as fire. Now,
yeah,
it's a step backwards from that. So you're going to have the greatest wrestling match ever in a feud that's not even as hot as it was a month ago. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here. What are you doing?
No.
What actually are you doing?
I don't know. I didn't mean to go down that whole diatribe. I just wanted to poke fun at Charlie for having to say that. Hi, Charlie.
Oh, that poor thing. Poor thing.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
To
I'm so
open
sorry
the show!
Yeah. I'm not.
God. Wait, to
They
close
saved it.
out the show last week and to open it this
Right,
week. It's just
right.
like they was connected together. Like they had one
Doubling
big
down.
show. Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
Poor
doubling
Charlie.
down.
I'm sorry, Charlie.
You had 2 dice and you rolled 2 snake eyes. It was just, oh my soul. And it was, I definitely was like Raw started and I kind of went, oh no.
Yeah.
They picked it up. Raw was actually really good overall this week. But man, yeah, that was a moment where I just kind of went, oh God, guys. No.
Way to set the tone for the show.
I want it to be so good. That is the wrong way to promote it. Hard stop.
Yeah.
One of the other, I think, stumbles that Raw had was the women's tag match. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Iconics again. But this time, trying to save Billie Kay from getting pinned, Peyton Royce comes in and throws Alexa into the turnbuckle one too many times, and the ref stops the match and DQs her. And this wasn't my problem with this, Nick, because on paper, fine, that builds up heat between the two teams. You don't have a definitive win for Bliss Cross. But Peyton acted as though she was stunned. And then later, like, Billy slapped her backstage, like, what were you doing? And then they're both crying about it and so upset. That undercut them as a team. It didn't make them look vicious. It didn't make it look like it was premeditated. It made them look like they didn't know the rules. They didn't listen to the ref, and that they're dumb. Do you feel that was the right way to set up the finish for this match?
No, because the ref stoppage in the last 12 months has become the new surprise roll-up. It's being overused. And it's being used at the whims of the 74-year-old man. I think he's 74 now, sitting at the controls in the referee's ear. And,
well,
and
or it
I'm
could be Paul Heyman. You don't know who did it now. We don't know who did it now. We don't know who's overusing it. I agree with you that it's getting a bit overused, but my problem isn't that it's getting overused. It's that you're doing it without purpose.
No, it takes away the value of that, of having that in your back pocket to pull out when you really need it. Like, I actually liked this match. And I liked the idea of Peyton Royce losing her shit because she couldn't get past some little 5-foot Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and got to the point where she just got frustrated and came in and just started throwing Alexa Bliss into the I like dickish heely heels. I want that. The backstage stuff is a different conversation, and God, I hope they don't break up the Iconics because I might flip this desk over. But yeah, I don't have a problem with the ref stoppage. I have a problem with the overuse of it, and we've seen it way too much. Going all the way back to Hell in a Cell in October, 7-8 months ago.
Right.
I can count at least 4 or 5 times off the top of my head that we've had a ref stoppage since then. And I'm just going, that's like once or twice a year.
We had one last week.
That's like a once or twice a year thing that you pull out to make a big deal out of something.
Shayna had 2 in a row.
Right. So that's my, otherwise, I liked this.
But here's the thing. So I just said that, but I'll defend those. Shayna's ref stoppages were because she actually injured the other person too much for them to continue. Great. That's a good story to tell.
Sure.
Seth Rollins last week because he interfered and stabbed Ray's eye into the stairs. He snapped. That's a good story to tell for Seth. This is not a good story to tell for the Iconics. That they're dumb and don't pay attention in the ring? That's not a good reason to do this. It's the same thing, like you said, with small packages. Small packages, when used well, show that an underdog any given Sunday can sneak out a win. Whether it's distraction or whatever. When it's just done in a match for no reason, you just kind of go, well, that was kind of a flat finish.
Yeah.
So this was a flat finish. And I'm not sure what story they're trying to tell with these two teams right now.
When it's actually Dana Brooke's finishing move, it's used too much. The roll-up.
Oh.
It's literally Dana Brooks finishing me.
She's an underdog and they're trying to protect the people she's facing, I guess. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I don't really have a good explanation for it either.
I wanted to like this. I like the finish on paper. I don't like the overuse of the ref stoppage. That's where my complaint ends.
No. Well, we mentioned Shayna Baszler a second ago. We mentioned Natalya earlier. Well, they had a match again, much like last week. This time, though, Shayna actually did a beautiful reversal on Natty trying to submit her with I think it was a leg bar, but she reversed it beautifully into a Kirifuda clutch, tapped Natty out after capturing her arm. Much better match for Shayna, I thought, than last week. This made Shayna look like she was going toe-to-toe with Natty. Natty was stepping to her, but Shayna is just fundamentally better and also very aggressive. It looked good. But at the end, Natty was just distraught that she had been out-wrestled by Shayna. And as they were setting up the Kevin Owens show, she started trashing the set, threw his chairs out of the ring, threw the easels out of the ring. Not sure why the crew didn't set it back up. They're not getting paid enough. They're getting paid enough to show up during a pandemic, but not getting paid enough to set back up Kevin Owens' set?
Yeah.
Just saying. Come on. Give them a little bit more now. Give them $1 more an hour, WWE. This is unprofessional.
Right.
Unprofessional. But also unprofessional, Natty's response. What do you think? What are we doing here? Why are we having Natty throwing temper tantrums?
This didn't feel like it was planned. I'm wondering if if Natalya took a shoot here.
You're such a come on, man. Don't you dare. No, I don't know. This was a shoot. Natty shooted on this, man.
Shooted?
Shooted. She shooted on this. Yeah, I'm imitating you.
All right.
She done shooted.
It felt much like Natalya's. It felt overdone. And
okay.
I wasn't sure whether or not, because Kevin Owens came out and even commented on it. He goes, wow, okay, I came out to do my show, and that felt like it was somewot improv.
It might be. Kevin Owens does improv a lot.
Yeah, he does. And he's brilliant at it.
Okay.
But
So you actually think that Natty legit had a temper tantrum on Raw?
Of course not.
Okay. Don't do that to me, man.
Because she's as loyal as they get. She's absolutely as much of a company woman as it's ever going to be.
She had a farting gimmick. Of course she is. She's going to do whatever they tell her to do.
Yes. So
they're worried about this tarnishing her legacy. She had a farting gimmick. I'm just going to leave it at that.
She sure kicked the hell out of that bottom rope, though. That's for sure. Kyle with the $5 in the super chat. Oh, he said Natty sure showed that bottom rope, and office equipment couldn't help but laugh at it. Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody got a good chuckle out of it.
True. Oh, my God. Yeah, but not in a good way, unfortunately.
Oh, gee golly willikers, I'll kick that bottom rope.
Oh, shucks. How dare you. That's Shayna. Yeah, I'll get you next time, Shayna. Next time. I'm not sure what the angle is here. If we're going to have a pouty Natty or if she's going to suddenly I don't know. I don't know what the hell this is.
Yeah, I don't either.
Fingers crossed.
Not sure
Wait,
I care.
See. I care enough because if you're putting this on my TV, give me something to care about. And
I'm intrigued enough. This is the most character work we've gotten out of Natalya in years.
Exactly.
So let's see where this goes. Let's ride this one out.
What are you doing? As long as it's not a marriage angle, then we're fine.
Sure.
Charlotte also on Raw, which is actually her home brand. You don't know these days because she's in all three brands, which she was happy to point out. Hardest working woman in wrestling right now.
Good for
her. Had a match with Ruby Riott after a nice Healy speech. I've heard this pointed out, and I wanted to bring it up on our show. Charlotte Flair. She's a heel, right?
Right? I think so.
Ruby Riott's a heel.
Yep.
And she treated Ruby like Charlotte treated her like Charlotte was a heel. She was pulling her hair and doing all kinds of dirty tricks.
Yeah.
Over on SmackDown, she's kind of a face. She's facing Bayley. And Bayley is a heel. But Charlotte's kind of acting kind of facey over there.
I didn't feel like she was facey over there. Yeah, Bayley's a heel. That doesn't automatically make her a face. She was just coming out and challenging what Charlotte was saying. I didn't think that made Charlotte a face.
She's being presented more face-ish over there. And it may be like what you were saying earlier with Asuka, where she's just above that. She's Charlotte, and she is what she is. no matter what. You can cheer her or boo her. She is what she is.
Yeah.
She's really a heel in NXT, though.
Yeah, I mean, she was doing
whipping out
dickish
kendo
heel
sticks.
things where she was pointing at Sasha and making fun of her and calling her out for riding Bayley's coattails. And, you know, I feel like there was still some dickish things coming out on SmackDown Friday. So, I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Is this too much Charlotte right now? 3 shows, too much Charlotte? You think she's...
I stopped caring a long time ago. Charlotte's going to Charlotte.
You have to care.
No,
You
I'm talking
have
about
to care,
where she's going to... She, by the time we're done, guys, 10 years from now, Charlotte's going to have all the records. She's going to have all the titles, all the records, all the accolades, everything. She's going to be more than 16-time champion. It's going to be no contest. She is going to go down in the record books as the winningest champion ever in WWE.
Yeah. Agreed.
So
That's
I've
not my
accepted that. I'm not going to lose sleep at night over it anymore.
So if they put her on all 3 shows, you're like, fine.
Yeah, it is what she's. Listen, she's one of the best performers with a microphone and in the ring. Frankly, I don't care what brand she's on.
You're not wrong, but it seems a little weird that she's coming over on Raw and treating Ruby like enhancement talent.
I agree with that.
That was a little disappointing.
She just had 2 fantastic matches with Liv Morgan, and you're going to come over and job her out to Charlotte. No, that's not okay.
And on top of that, like, that's now Charlotte's role is just she's going to come in, beat up somebody, talk smack, and leave until she has a title match with like Rhea or Bayley. That's like that it's not good for people like Ruby. Now, again, we're both big fans of Ruby, and there's got to be someone who picks up the losses. But it is also a waste of talent when it comes to Ruby. I don't know who else you have Charlotte go against at this point, though. You know, who else is free? At least Ruby got on TV. I don't know. I'm arguing it to myself right now, Nick, going back and forth on it. I'm of 2 minds, obviously, but yes, more Charlotte, and we'll have more of her on SmackDown. We'll have to get back to this: is she a heel? Is she a face? Is she just Charlotte debate?
She's just Charlotte
on Saturday. You mentioned Liv Morgan. She had a little promo where she said that her mom was her inspiration, and because her mom was all about perseverance, even though she didn't really have much of a paycheck, but she still raised Liv and had all that perseverance, that Liv's going to persevere post Charlotte. Let me get your opinion on this promo first, Nick, because I don't want to come out the gate acting like an asshole. What did you think of Liv's promo here?
It was a lot better than coming out saying she was Lana's lesbian lover.
Well, yes, Nick. It's like me saying I'm taller than Danny DeVito.
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was somewhere in the middle. It's got babyface fire on it. I like that. I like the no quit kind of attitude stuff. I like that. And she looks great. She looks a lot better than some Harley Quinn knockoff that you find in a Halloween store. I want to like it. I want to like it, Nick. I want to be where you are. Can you get me to where you are, I'm
please?
98% there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're I'm like 30.
You know what did it for me though was that
34%.
she got a chance to show with Ruby Riott her abilities in the ring. Finally, she didn't just get jobbed out to somebody. She had 2 phenomenal matches with Ruby Riott.
She had a match with Charlotte and Asuka in which she looked good against them both times.
Bingo.
They obviously see potential for her. She's in this mode right now where they're trying to build her as someone you can, like a babyface you can get behind. I'm wondering if they're trying to do a Becky thing with her, or just like a Liv Morgan twist on a Becky Lynch thing.
Yeah, I can see that.
But my problem is that she's still, and it's what gets you about Nia is the vocal delivery. She still has this thing. My mom worked so hard to raise me, and I was like, and she's saying stuff that like I can feel the emotion she's trying to put behind it. The script is there, even though it's very kind of on the nose. It's just the way that it's the head placement, it's the vocal placement, it's the delivery.
Yeah.
And you can give someone Shakespeare, but if they say it in like a valley accent, it's just gonna fall flat. So it's her delivery as much as anything.
So hey guys, I'm gonna talk to some of the superstars right now. For about 15, because we know they listen, right? So I mean, For about $1,500, you can go get executive coaching, speech, power speaking.
Some of them have.
Right?
Some of them do. I believe
cost you
actually
about $1,500. It's about a 3-day course. Go get
who
some.
did it?
They
Flair
eliminate.
did it. Ric Flair did it when he came back in the early 2000s. Ric Flair went and did this.
They eliminate the 7 deadly words from you as a presenter. They teach you how to be animated. They teach you how to intonate. They teach you how to inflect. Right? They teach you how to emote. All of those things with little eyebrow raises and things like that. Right? But they teach you how to do all that. You don't say so, and you're right. So yeah, all of that. They'll for $1,500 in 3 days. It'll be gone.
Or the deadly sins of wrestling promos. The fact of the matter is, you see, Mean Gene. Yeah. So that's the thing that I'm seeing here with Liv is that there's so many pieces that are just right there. And I want her to be successful because I do think that she could be really, really good. She's got a lot of potential in the ring, great look, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just that damn delivery. Yep. It's not connecting. And they can give her all the babyface promos in the world, but if she doesn't like put the right inflection behind it, it's just it's not going to connect. Sorry. I don't want to be harsh. Again, I want her to succeed. And it seems like a small hurdle that takes some practice, but yeah. Anyway,
it'll be the best $1,500 you ever spend, Liv.
Right.
I promise.
I'm shocked they don't do more of that in promo class. Like the promo classes that they do, it's strictly just for wrestling promos, but there would be so much more to gain by just like learning how to deliver monologues, or as you said, public speaking, taking some of those cues and putting them in there. But anyway, neither here nor there. That's a whole different discussion because we got to talk about the tag team division on Raw, quote unquote. Let me throw some air quotes up there. The tag team division on Raw. No, we didn't see Cedric or Ricochet. No, we didn't see Vink or Thorne. We saw Viking Raiders and the Street Profits engaging in another competition. Because anything you can do, I can do better. This time, however, we're at a Viking encampment. Throwing the air quotes up again.
And I thought what we talked about last week, we were going to go to the Highland Games and start getting. We got axe throwing, but we were going to get caber toss and all of the bagpipes, all of this stuff. You know, the giant meats and all that stuff.
You got the next best thing. You got the dime store version of that. You got the no social distancing version of that out in a field. With all these Vikings packed together, I guarantee one. I'm sure one of them had to have been Sarah Logan, right? Like just
on the horse,
had to have been, right?
Well, the speculation is the one on the horse was Sarah Logan.
Didn't look like her at all, though.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, neither here nor there. Axe tossing. So of course, Viking Raiders really good at it. They keep hitting the bullseye. Street Profits. Montez throws one so far it hits a car.
A cop car.
Well, we find out later it was a cop car. Yes. Thank you for spoiling that, Nick.
That's what I'm here for.
Dawkins throws it behind him and totally miss. Hits a barrel and all the meat starts coming out and everyone gets mad. So it comes down to the competition. Of course, it's the same exact thing as last week with the basketball game, just with axe tossing. The Vikings dominate, and at the very end, Montez gets one to stick in the bullseye. Yay, he got one. Everybody's happy. There's some camaraderie. It's actually, I'm not going to lie, Nick, as much as this was a little bit eye-rolling and didn't quite hit the mark for me, this was actually like the camaraderie and the genuine fun it seemed like everyone was having. It did seem very positive. It did kind of warm my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
They were obviously having fun with it. And then, of course, as you said, Nick, the cop car pulls up with an axe stuck into the front windshield, and two cops get out and say, "Who did this?" And I immediately feared for Street Profits' life, just because it's America in 2020.
Yeah.
But luckily, the cop just wanted to know who did that, so they told him, "All right, whoever can hit that bullseye must be it." And all of a sudden, I don't know why, because logically it doesn't make sense that they would incriminate themselves, but Montez Ford suddenly shows that he has mad axe throwing skills, and so does Dawkins. Dawkins throws an axe behind him and hits it in the bullseye. Same idea as last week. We were fooling you the whole time. We knew how to axe throw the entire time. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And we're done. That was the end of the segment.
Yay.
Is this already overstaying its welcome, or are you looking forward to part 3?
This was better than the basketball game.
No, you think?
Yeah. That's not to imply that it was what I want to see these two teams doing. but it was better than the basketball game, and that's like saying one fart smells less bad than the other.
We both admitted last week that by the end of the basketball thing, we were on some level entertained.
Yeah. Again, same thing here.
Some level entertained, but it's not what they should be doing.
Yeah. I also, because the alerts are broken, I missed another one from Kyle. $5 in the super chat. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kyle.
At this rate, I'm surprised there isn't a Valley Girl faction.
It's coming. Just wait. They got lost on the way to the arena because, I don't know. I was in my pink Camaro.
Do I take the 101 or the 405? I'm just not sure.
You take the 405 to the 101 to the 323, and then you get off on Doheny and take 2 lefts and a right, and then get back onto the 101 and go north, and then hit the 118.
No, you take Ventura to Coldwater down to Beverly Hills.
Oh my God, this is so confusing. Got to get the vocal fry in there if you're gonna do Valley Girl.
Oh yeah.
Oh Billy.
Moving on.
Hello.
I want to see these guys competing. I don't want Ascension and Fashion Police 2.0. This is effing War Machine and Street Profits. One of the
this is
high
so
flyers.
Far from that.
All right. It's
this
not even as funny.
You know it is.
Yeah, I know.
It's nowhere near. It's nowhere near as funny and well thought out and as many like little in jokes. This is cutesy at best. It's cutesy and fine. You got me on one. The second one, all right. I'm starting like, all right. I get it. We're done now. There does not need to be a part 3. The part 3 should be a match. We're done. Okay, cool. Ha ha ha. We all get the joke. We get it now. Cool. Everyone and all these guys are charismatic. It's great. You got some more character on War Machine. Excuse me, Viking Raiders. I just can't help myself. You got
what? I didn't hear you say anything
charismatic. Wrong. Attaboy. Let's move on. Let's get on to a match.
Yeah.
Let's get on to a goddamn match. And we'll have part 3 next Raw, and then they'll challenge each other to a match, and it'll be at Backlash. We'll have to get another one of these.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was that, and that was Raw, Nick. That was a show. Overall, pretty good show.
We did things a little bit out of order. We sort of reprioritized things. But in the grand timeline, putting Charlie aside at the very beginning, in the grand timeline of things, the way that this was delivered with the storyline all throughout, we've praised SmackDown and NXT where they've just had a central timeline of one continuous and interweaving story, and they really had that this week. From Seth and Murphy through Alistair Black and LIWWE to Theory to McIntyre and Lashley, with R-Truth thrown in there. I mean, it was MVP's a part of it. So all of this, all is kind of interweaving, and I absolutely love that. Can we keep that up for more than 2 weeks? Can we do some long-term storytelling here, maybe all the way to SummerSlam? That's the homework assignment and the challenge that I would give to Vince and Heyman and WWE. How do you do something that where each one doesn't feel like it has to start and finish every single episode of Raw and SmackDown? Can we have some continuation for more than 2 weeks? Oh, no, next week we got to build a Backlash because it's time for another one already. I want some storytelling here, like some big-time, long-term storytelling. And I feel like Seth is going to deliver that.
He already kind of has. I mean, if you look at...
But, I mean, we're still developing it. But above and beyond that, it's just, okay, next week Drew's going to fight Lashley, and then we're going to move on to the next thing. And
I don't know. I feel like we're getting a little bit more build from week to week. Like there's more setups and payoffs. Maybe not over a 6-month period or a 3-month period, but like over a month or two, we're getting some pretty good setups and payoffs. I'm pretty up on WWE's writing right now.
Same.
Overall. It's still WWE, but like relative to itself, WWE's writing right now is quite good.
A lot of people laughed at it when I did it in the Nick booking stuff, but I feel like there's too much brands, too many titles. I feel like that there is an impending consolidation coming in the near future.
Shh, no, don't put that out there. Don't put that evil out there, Nick. Keep it like it is.
Nikki Bobby?
Nikki Bobby. Oh, God.
Don't you put that evil on me, Nikki Bobby.
Don't you put that evil on me, Nikki Bobby. That's going to be a thing. Yeah. That's a thing. That's a thing now.
Great. Well, there you go, guys. There was Monday Night Raw. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly did. Ian, it sounds like you did as well. I'm excited for what the current build-up for the card might end up looking like at Backlash. So that's one thing to be positive about. But speaking about things to be positive about, we've got to go over now and do our moment of positivity. Mop, 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 mop,
mop,
mop.
That's right. The moment of positivity, the mop, brought to you by Sean Clark. We are here today to talk about the thing in the last few days of wrestling that made us happy, that made us feel positive, things that we want to look at things and take them in a positive light because Lord knows there's just too much negativity out there. So what was the thing that made you feel positive or that you can think about positively over the last few days, Mr. Nick?
There's not a lot.
Oh, come on. There's so
You go first. I'm thinking. I'm looking down the list of what happened on Raw, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that was cool. Yeah, all right.
You listed off a bunch of things to be positive about. The fact that you've got this great angle going on with Seth and his disciples, the fact that they did such a good job of interweaving a bunch of different storylines to make that happen. I loved the fact that they actually had through lines to the show, and there was long-term builds that they did, showing the dissension between Los Igobernables de WWE, ending in this week, having that build up through several segments and matches to Austin getting kicked out and then being accepted by Seth into the group. The way that Seth handled all that as well, physically, his physicality through all that, the way that Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy acted, like the silence of not having an audience really enhanced that. It was a very tense, interesting moment, and all the guys were very present. You could see in their eyes they were very present in that moment where Austin joined the group. It was a really intense, very cool moment, and I could actually take that and take it out of context of wrestling and be like, look at this cool moment where this guy gets indoctrinated into this cult. And someone who watches like a regular drama would be like, ooh, that's pretty good. So I'll take that as my moment of positivity.
All right.
I'll take how well done that was. What an intense moment that was. That's my moment. And the fact that it was built over the whole show. That was good stuff. There you go.
I think mine's going to be Austin Theory always felt like the odd man out around Andrade, Zelina, and Garza. And I'm happy to see him be somewhat, summarily ejected from LIW, if we're still going to call him that. And then to form up with Seth, who I agree did need another disciple. Originally, we had AOP and Murphy, and I was like, oh, main eventer, mid-card title, and tag team titles. Like, this could be a legit faction. And I still hope it will be when AOP heals up and gets back. But the idea that Seth is now going to have Murphy and Theory as disciples behind him, yeah. Theory joining Seth is probably mine for this week.
I'm sorry. I thought it was Nia Jax getting beat up. I'm surprised that wasn't your mom.
No.
Huh.
No.
How about that?
Kyrie playing the recorder was a close second.
It's hard not to pick. It's hard not to pick Asuka or Kyrie every week. They're some of the best stuff going on in WWE right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So there we go, guys. There's our moments of positivity, and thank you guys. Oh no, we're not done just yet.
Oh God.
We've got just enough time for our other news and lightning round. Beep 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 beep.
Oh man, I've got to go from the moment of positivity to something very, very, very sad. So I've got to report. If you guys don't already know, Shad Gaspard, one half of Crime Time back in the day, unfortunately has gone missing and is presumed lost at sea after going swimming with his son and a few other people over at Marina del Rey Beach. When I say it's right down the street from me, I literally mean I can nearly throw a rock and hit a big street that goes straight to that beach from my window. Like it's I could walk to that beach. It'd be a bit of a hike, but I could conceivably do it. It's right down the street from me. I know the beach well. I know right where he was. Apparently it was a group of swimmers, and he and his son were out there, and a riptide hit him, and the lifeguards went out to get them, and they got everybody but Shad, who the last time he was seen, he was pointing out where his son was to the rescuers. They got his son, and they saw a wave crash on him, and then they never saw him again. The Coast Guard was called out. They were out for a while, almost 2 days, looking for him. They have actually said that they have given up their search for looking for him as of today. The LAPD is still looking for him, so the case is still open. But unfortunately, it looks like he is gone, and a lot of people the sympathies are already pouring in from far and wide, and there is not a single person who doesn't have anything but the most glowing reports to say about what a great guy he was. So this is tragic for many levels.
Was that down at the Whaler at the Venice Pier at the end of Washington?
Little south of there. That's Venice.
Yeah, okay.
So a little bit south of there, a little south of that pier before you get to the
where the breakwater is
before you get to the
go out of
refinery.
marina. Yeah.
Yeah, before you get to the refinery. So it's right down there. Beautiful beach, by the way. Absolutely gorgeous.
It was when I lived there. It was my zen spot. One of the first places I ever went to in LA was Venice Pier, and I would sit out there for hours, just right there at the end of Washington with the Whaler.
If you took a left and went down about a mile, you'd be at the beach where he was.
Okay.
So yeah, and it's the definition of like a gorgeous California beach. But the problem is, and this is the crazy thing. Like this is one thing that kind of it freaked me out about the whole thing. Is I'm a California boy, born and raised out here, up in the Bay Area, and this is riptides are such a thing out here that I learned about it from a very young age. You know, quite a few of us California, like we're taught when that shore starts receding really quickly and you're not moving, you're in a riptide, swim horizontal. Because it's one thin band of water that's getting sucked out to sea, and you can be miles out at sea in a matter of minutes. And that's not a joke. Like those things are deadly, and you're gone. The other thing that made me think like that just gave me chills thinking about this, if I may make a bit of an aside here, is that that's a little terrifying. There was a show once upon a time called Dhani Travels the World, Dhani Plays the World, something like that. I might be forgetting the name. But it was Dhani Jones from the Bengals. And he basically went to different countries around the world and played their national sport. He'd learn about their national sport and then play it, actually have to compete in a professional game of the sport. Awesome series. Really awesome series. And I recommend trying to find it if you can. It's unfortunate it's kind of gone missing. But there was an episode where he actually played saltwater water polo in Italy. Sicily, maybe, I think. Maybe it was Greece. I don't know. In the Mediterranean. He's out in the Mediterranean. They've got an outdoor concrete encircled area where they play this saltwater water polo. And Dhani's a football player. Big, muscly guy. And all these little, polo players are long, lanky, almost no muscle, no body fat. And one of the things he points out in this episode is that he was getting winded. He was having such a hard time keeping up because, and they had him sitting in the water next to one of these guys, and they were sitting about 3 or 4 inches higher in the water than he was because muscle does not float as well. It's not as buoyant in salt water. Well, unfortunately, Shad Gaspard, very muscly guy. And the first thing I thought was when he's, swimming for his life out in the sea was that's the worst situation this dude could be in.
Yeah.
Because he's going to have to swim that much harder because he's so muscled. So it's horrific all around. Obviously, we send our condolences to the family. No condolences. Hope and fingers crossed that he's washed up, down at Palos Verdes and he hasn't made his way back yet. But that's some rough news.
Esme with the $50 super chat.
Oh,
Esme. Farewell and safe travels, Shad. Thank you, Esme.
Thank you, Esme. That's very sweet of you. Thank you. I kind of think we should donate that $50 to Shad now. I don't know if we can take that, but thank you. Also in sad news, Larry Sonka, reviewer and writer for 411 Wrestling, has also passed away after a long illness. He actually even had to have a leg amputated last year. The guy's been not well for a while, but he's also the most consistent reviewer and writer about wrestling and WWE that I can possibly think of. The guy had a review up at like every single damn time right after the show. If you wanted to get a review or a recap of a show, he did it every time. He was a machine, an absolute machine. And it's actually crazy to not see his stuff popping up on my feed now that he has passed away. So rest in peace, Larry Sonka. So I'm not done with the sad stuff yet. Drew Gulak got released by WWE the day after SmackDown last week. He had an angle with Daniel Bryan, was still tweeting out stuff for that angle, and he was released the next day. Apparently, it was actually a contract negotiation. He was holding out for more money. He wanted a raise. They said no, and they could not come to an agreement. And so Drew Gulak has parted ways with WWE for now. And before you say Drew Gulak to AEW, Cody has gone on record many times that he cannot stand Drew Gulak. So very curious where the Goo Man ends up next. Speaking of AEW, the Revolt is already in some trouble. They have a cease and desist letter get sent out already for FTR and for the Revolt. So they are already having to fight legal battles thanks to WWE. I don't think it'll be an uphill battle. I think it will be an uphill battle for them, given everything that went down at the end of their run there. Speaking of people in WWE who are no longer there, who are having a tough time of it, Mark Henry and Lio Rush are in a bit of a spat online. I don't know if have you seen any of this, Nick?
No.
This goes back a ways. Apparently, at one point when Leo was having backstage problems, Mark Henry approached him and said, "Hey, man, if you have any problems, I can give you, I can talk to you and maybe help you with things." And Leo said, "Nah, man, I'm fine." And then everything came out a month later, and Mark Henry went on air to say, like, "Dude, he lied to my face. I tried to help the kid, and he didn't want any." This has continued, gone back and forth. They're both kind of sniping at each other. Mark Henry shooting on Leo again, saying, he had a bad attitude. Leo saying back to him, quote, "This is why African-American talent on the biggest platform will continue to not have equal opportunity, because people like you constantly tear down your own people. A damn shame, honestly." And Mark Henry on that other podcast named suspiciously close to ours said, "You can't question my blackness. Like, nobody can question my blackness. Pull my black card. No, not allowed. Nobody." And he said his lawyers are not happy and would like him to sue Lio Rush. And Lio Rush said back, "Come on, man, you're going to go out sad. You deserve to be remembered for the greatest heel turn in history, not threatening to sue a 25-year-old in the middle of a pandemic." So ugly stuff back and forth between Leo and Mark Henry there. The Canadian border, Nick, is still closed. They announced it's going to be closed for another month to non-essential people. So no Dark Order, no Bobby Roode, no anybody else who lives in Canada. It was a house in Canada and got trapped on that side of the border for this. So another month without all of that Canadian talent. So be prepared, and maybe we should give them a little bit better space as far as what they're doing with Dark Order.
Yeah, with Brody Lee, yeah.
Maybe we'll give them a little bit more love with that.
Yeah.
Ricky Starks, NWA news. Ricky Starks has followed Tasha Steele's example and is leaving. He's defecting from NWA. But where's he going, Nick? He says he's the hottest free agent out there right now. And AEW just announced that there's going to be a mystery competitor in their ladder match at Double or Nothing.
Not to be announced until Double or Nothing.
Coincidence? I think not. Ricky Starks to AEW. You heard it here first. You heard it here first. Ricky Starks. Dude, he's gonna do real well over there if he does go there.
Yeah, he will.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good pickup.
Michael Mansouri. You may not know that name, but he was the guy that was thought to be Kevin Dunn's replacement over at WWE. He was the vice president of global television production. He has also left, and he's following Kerwin Silphy's run out the door. And that means that Dunn and Marty Miller are going to be handling all of the WWE broadcasts from now on, and they don't really have any heirs apparent. This guy has been here. He'd been there for a long time, since 2009, I believe. So, yeah, WWE shorter-handed in the production department. Interesting. Michael gave his notice back in early part of this year, 3 months ago. So this has been coming for a while.
Damn.
And a bit of a nastier story. CZW is in a bit of hot water right now. They actually had they apparently are going to be putting out online some of their old pay-per-views to look at, to watch.
Really?
Yes, but the problem is, and you'll have to forgive me because my page that I was pulling this off of has just vanished. So give me a second. But they basically had they're putting out programs, and the men's programs is called like the greatest hits, and the men's programs is called like the hardest hardcore matches. The women's matches, unfortunately, are being called top heavy trouble, stuff like that. Basically sexualizing the women's matches and the women's stuff. I'm sorry. Let me just try and find this real quick here, because I'm always going to do a better job when I have my notes in front of me. But they're already being called out, as you can imagine. Here we go. By several women online who used to work for them. CZW girls, top, heavy, and tough. CZW girls, all assets revealed. Nothing sexual about the actual matches, just the names. CZW, they released a press release that said, 2 years ago, CZW entered into a licensing agreement with a national media distributory to license CZW and WSU footage. That company has the rights to utilize the footage without limitation. They have repackaged and renamed shows as it is their right to do so. Our athletes, regardless of gender, are just that, athletes whom we are proud of and appreciate. We stand behind the ring action in all of our footage, essentially wiping their hands of it, washing their hands. We don't have a whole lot of time, Nick, but a ton of women have come out against this. Kimber Lee, Trisha Parker, a.k.a. Jordan Grace, Tara Calloway, Mama Dino, Lufisto has been very outspoken. And they're not just coming out against this and Stonecutter Media, which is the distributory that they sold that to, but they're actually starting to come out about sexual abuse and harassment that they actually had from CZW. They have not named DJ Hyde yet, but there's been a lot of talk in these tweets from these women about how, and even from some men who actually back up the stories, in case you can't take a woman's word for things, but that he said some things along the line of, quote, pardon my language, I could fuck you, any of y'all anytime I want, and that he would actually have limited hotel rooms so they'd have to sleep in the same bed and snuggle him. So some major accusations coming out against CZW right now, all based on the fact that some of their pay-per-views have some rather unsavory names. So, and also, I'm trying to find out, Jordan Grace has actually said there are many women already speaking to lawyers about this, as releases were not signed to authorize licensing footage for profit and distribution. So, CZW in a little bit of some hot water.
I was really looking forward to seeing dudes be powerbombed off rider trucks into a pile of light tubes again. But thanks for being misogynistic douchebags.
Yeah. Well, and more than that, than not, taking their wrestlers' backs on, if their distributing company is doing that, not actually having their backs and be like, we sold it. We don't have nothing to do about it. But apparently it is a culture that is actually inside the promotion itself. So
we're just cashing our checks.
Yeah. Unfortunate entirely. John Oliver mentioned WWE this week on Last Week Tonight. Remember how he did the special before about workers' rights in WWE? Well, this time he's talking about the fact that WWE is still recording shows during this current and ongoing problems, which we can't really talk about because we want to still have YouTube play our stuff.
Yeah.
He didn't hit WWE too hard. He hit UFC a lot harder. He hit anyone who wants to open sports to a crowd a lot harder. But he did mention that WWE had reopened and that that they had that one letter that went to the city council saying that, hey, I don't feel like I can work safely here. Which, by the way, to counterpoint, they never proved that was actually a WWE employee, and there was nothing to say that was a WWE employee at all. Right. So I thought it was interesting that even John Oliver's people didn't source that.
Yeah, unsighted sources like that.
Completely unsighted source. Like, if that was a WWE, that was never proven by any media source that's what that was, that person who wrote that letter. But WWE on Last Week Tonight, at least for
AEW got to mention too, funny enough.
They did mention AEW.
Don't forget
as well.
they're in Jacksonville. So
they said AEW, quote unquote, the competition for WWE. It's what they're being known by in mainstream media. Interesting. MLW just barely re-signed Richard Holiday, one of the members of the Dynasty. If you watch them at all, that was the guys that MJF used to be with. But now they're off on their own, including Alex Hammerstone. But he's officially signed a multi-year deal with MLW. Apparently, other companies, quote unquote, gave him some pretty big options, some pretty big deals, including some heavy signing bonuses. But he turned it down to stay with MLW. I wonder which company that could have been. Buddies with MJF, got some money to throw around. Who could that have been? I guess we'll never know, Nick.
Yeah.
Because he's staying with MLW. And finally, Jim Cornette. Hard to keep his name off of our lips because the man always gets himself in some kind of hot water. Well, he did it again on his podcast. For some reason, he decided to lay into Dana Brooke, saying that it looked like her face had caught on fire and someone had put it out with an axe. Wow. Well, Nick,
I'm sorry, I forget. Sometimes I forget that we're an audio podcast and you guys listening can't hear my reaction that I'm giving, my dumbfounded face. That every time. So the last big time we tore into Jim Cornette was over the Trevor Murdoch with the Ethiopian strap a bucket of chicken, ride a scooter across Ethiopia. Since then, we've had his firing from NWA, and we've seen him show up on several specials like Dark Side of the Ring, and
where he's great,
and The Last Ride, or documentaries about Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And every now and then in my YouTube feed, I get a Jim Cornette thing where he's telling a history story, usually laced with F-bombs, but it's about wrestling history. And I go through this phase with him where I'm like, oh, man, I really like the way he tells stories. Dana Brooke looked like somebody set her on fire and put her face out with an axe. I'm like, God damn it, Jim. No.
Becky Lynch, stupid woman. Why is she going having a baby right now? You can make $1 million a year. What are you, dumb woman? Oh, yeah.
I give up. I'm done with him. I give up.
Well, so's Dana. She tweeted back at him, how about you stop hiding behind a keyboard and come say it to my face, because I doubt you would when you see me in person, Mark. How about stop spreading hate and spread positivity?
Yeah,
exactly. And honestly, Nick, like, we're not innocent. There was one Raw, I remember, or one show where Dana's like top lip looked like she got punched in her lip, and we were like, what the heck? Dana, are you okay? Please don't. Hope that's an injury and not something else. But damn it, we support the hell out of that woman overall.
Yes.
And the way that Cornette put it is
it's hideous.
It's flowery, but very hideous. So yeah, I'm glad that Dana clapped back at him, and curious to see if that feud goes anywhere. Lord knows he's not about apologizing. But I'm going to side with Dana on this one. Stop spreading hate and spread positivity. And that's where I want to leave this. That's why I put this last. Stop spreading hate, spread positivity. Nick, that is the news.
Well, thank you very much, Sir Ian Dangerous. And with apologies to Dana Brooke, thank you very much to all of the phenomenal ones and everyone else hanging out with us in chat. Thank you guys for making it a lively show, just like every other one you guys join us for live right here on YouTube every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern and every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/bustedwideopen. Make sure you subscribe and jingle that little notification bell so you get notified anytime we put up some new content. We got some new jams coming soon. If you saw the teaser in the group that I dangled in front of you, you might know what I'm referring to. Hint, hint, wink, wink. You can also follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast. Join us in Facebook with the rest of the phenomenal ones just search for Busted Wide Open on Facebook. Make sure you put the wide in between there so you get in the right group. Even though a lot of the other group tends to land in our group and they like our show better. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Make sure you like our page and send us a join request to get you right in. Be sure you join our Discord server for live chats all throughout the week. You can find links to that in the description below here on YouTube or pinned across our social media profiles. And you can find all of these links and everything else, all of our episodes over at bwopodcast.com, as well as your podcast app of choice. Last but certainly not least, thank you to all of our patrons, our phenomenal ones. Thank you guys for all of your support. And if you guys would like to get in on some exclusive rewards like that, head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of those awesome reward tiers, like the ability to get a copy of the show notes for every episode, ask questions for our patron mailbag every week, bonus episodes at the $10 tier, Skype calls with Nick and Sir Ian Dangerous, all kinds of good stuff over at patreon.com/BWO. But my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But my God! Would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio.
For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.